Hi, Rob with Shop Prop. I'm going to go over real quickly what the National Association of Realtors settlement is going to do to the industry from an industry perspective, from a seller's perspective, and from a buyer's perspective, and go over these two forms. So, what did they actually agree to, and what are the key things? And by the way, this only impacts National Association Realtor owned MLSs and members. Now, the majority of MLSs are owned by the realtor organization, which was part of the crux of the problem. They were ran poorly, which is why some of these are coming into place. But some firms, MLSs, are owned privately. Like, for example, the Northwest Multiple Listing Service, who, in my opinion, has done a better job for their members and for listings and for buyers, both. So because they're privately owned and because they're not owned by the realtor organization, I'm going to use these two forms that they have up. And I'm going to go over what the difference is. So, how does it impact the industry? So, from an industry standpoint, it says that if I'm a member of the National Association of Realtor and I'm posting on a MLS owned realtor, right, which is like I said, the majority of them, I can no longer post my buyer's agent commission that I'm offering. I think this was a miss. I mean, I think sellers, if they want to post the buyer's agent commission on the MLS, whether it be a realtor organization owned MLS or privately owned, they should be able to do it. It motivates buyers, it motivates agents. That's the only place I would spend my money when I'm selling a property. But regardless of that, you'll no longer be able to do that on realtor owned MLSs. Privately owned MLSs, yeah, that'll be up to them. You certainly could if you wanted to. Will it be listed other places? Of course, social media, private websites, potentially the agent websites. It could be listed on marketing. It can be listed on other apps and so forth. So it'll still be out there, obviously, but it just won't be in the MLS. And so if you go to, for example, our site or Redfin, where you used to seeing that buyer's agency commission, you're not going to see it if that home is being listed on a realtor-owned MLS. So that's the first thing. So of course it's going to be out there. The next thing that they're changing, and I'm using this again because this is Northwest Multiple Listing Service. They're a bit ahead of their again, because they're privately owned, ahead of the realtor organization. But so it spells out the compensation. In the past, the listing firm compensation, it basically says it's all the listing firm's compensation, and then a portion of it is going to be shared with so and so. Now all it does is spell out the difference. It spells out specifically how much I'm paying my listing firm and how much I'm paying my buyer's agent. I would argue that I would pay a very small listing firm compensation. Just like I just listed one of my properties, I offered a 2% buyer's agent commission. Why? Because I want to employ that huge sales force that's out there. And I want to motivate all those agents to show my property. And I want to motivate buyers, because buyers that are savvy enough to use a firm like Shop Prop can get up to 100% of that commission back. That motivates them, right? So I'm spending my money in the right spot. So this a big thing? It's going to be publicized in other places. It's still on the listing firm. Remember, listing agents have been telling people to offer buyer's agent commissions for years and years because listing agents typically don't sell their own properties, right? Other buyer's agents do. And that's something for you, the public, to think about. Why would I spend a huge listing commission when if my listing broker is actually going to sell that to a buyer, if they're going to bring a buyer and it's not by another buyer's agent, I'm going to bring a buyer, they can still get paid that buyer's agent commission. So why pay a big listing fee? It doesn't make sense to me. But again, you should be allowed to do whatever you want. This is a big change. Buyer's brokerage service agreement. This is going to be mandatory. Again, this is one of the things in the settlement. By realtor-owned MLSs, or if you're part of the realtor organization, you're going to have to get one of these signed. But I think it's going to go beyond that. For example, Washington State made it a law that you have to have this signed by your buyer if you're working with a buyer. I think it'll be rolled out in almost all states. I think this is good. Just like a listing agreement is good that spells out all the terms of the agreement, you should have a contract in place with your buyer that says, hey, this is how much I'm going to get paid. It's clear. But as a buyer, you want to be careful because you could be locking yourself into 90 days or a year, 6 months. You could lock yourself in where it's not cancelable, and now you're working with this agent and they're getting paid. Also, you need to be careful because if the seller isn't offering a commission, in here they can also say that you're going to be paying it. So again, it's another additional thing that you have to be savvy about as a buyer. You also need to be savvy enough to go, hey, I can get that commission back. I can use it towards closing costs. I can use it for prepaids. In some situations, we have lenders that have approved even checks after closing. So there's a variety of things that you can actually do to go ahead and get that commission as a buyer and use it in your favor. So again, be savvy out there. I hope this helps kind of explain some of the things that are going to be changing. I think this is the big one from a buyer's agency agreement. Do I think that the not being listed on the MLS site? Yeah, it can be. It's going to make it more difficult because it used to be listed, but it's going to be listed in all sorts of other places. And agents use so many other sites like other apps and so forth to share information. It can be listed on those sites very easily. So I hope that helps. Have a great day.